You are standing in the shadowed corridors of Versailles, the world's most magnificent palace, but tonight, its golden halls feel colder than a crypt. The candlelight flickers on marble floors, casting long trembling shadows that seem to whisper secrets. Your hands, small and calloused from years of scrubbing floors and carrying trays, tremble as you clutch a silver goblet, one that will soon carry more than just wine. You are an orphan, nameless to most, a ghost among the living, drifting through the palace's endless rooms. The scent of beeswax and perfume hangs heavy in the air, but beneath it, you sense something darker, a trace of bitter almonds, a whiff of death. You have learned to move silently, to listen more than you speak, to survive in a world where the powerful devour the weak. Tonight, you are not just a servant. Tonight, you are the hand of fate. The year is 1679. Versailles is a world unto itself, a glittering cage for the most powerful men and women in France. King Louis XIV, the Sun King, rules with absolute authority, his every whim law, his every glance a command. The court is a theater of ambition, jealousy, and intrigue, where a careless word can mean exile or worse. You have seen it all from the shadows, the laughter that hides malice, the smiles that conceal daggers, the desperate hunger for favor and survival. You remember the night you arrived at Versailles, shivering in rags, your stomach gnawing with hunger. The palace seemed like a dream then, a place of endless food, warmth, and safety. But you quickly learned that every kindness here comes with a price. The other servants taught you the rules. Never look a noble in the eye. Never speak unless spoken to, and above all, never trust anyone. You learned to keep your head down, to blend in, to become invisible. But tonight, you are anything but invisible. The goblet in your hand is heavy, not just with wine, but with the weight of what you are about to do. You glance over your shoulder, heart pounding, as the sounds of music and laughter drift from the grand ballroom. The nobles are celebrating another victory, another day of the Sun King's glory. They do not see you. They never do. You slip through the servants' passageways, your footsteps muffled by thick carpets. The walls are lined with portraits of kings and queens, their painted eyes following you, judging you. You wonder if they would understand what you are about to do, if they would see you as a monster, or as a victim of a world that never gave you a chance. In the kitchens, the cooks are busy preparing delicacies for the midnight feast. The air is thick with the smell of roasting meat and fresh bread. You move quickly, unnoticed, to the corner where a small vial waits for you. The liquid inside is clear, almost innocent looking, but you know its power. You have seen what it can do, how it can turn a strong man into a corpse in minutes. You slip the vial into your pocket, your fingers trembling. You think of the woman who gave it to you, a shadowy figure who promised you freedom, revenge, and a future. She told you that the court is rotten, that the nobles deserve to pay for their sins. She told you that you could be the instrument of justice. You do not know if you believe her, but you have nothing left to lose. As you make your way to the ballroom, the sounds of music grow louder. The nobles are dancing, their laughter echoing off the gilded walls. You see the faces of those who have tormented you, who have treated you as less than human. You see the king himself, radiant in gold, surrounded by sycophants and flatterers. You wonder if he even knows you exist. You pause at the entrance, your heart racing. This is the moment. You can turn back, disappear into the shadows, and no one will ever know. Or you can step forward, change the course of history, and become a legend or a monster. You take a deep breath, steady your hands, and step into the light. You are not just a servant. You are a shadow in the world's most dazzling palace, a palace that is itself a mask, hiding wrought beneath gold. The year is 1679. France is the beating heart of Europe, and Versailles is its crown jewel. The palace sprawls across the countryside like a vision from a fever dream. Endless marble corridors, Gilded ceilings, gardens that stretch to the horizon. Every morning, the sun King Louis XIV rises to the adoration of hundreds. His court is a living theater, where every gesture, every glance, every word is a performance. But behind the spectacle, a different drama unfolds, one of secrets, betrayals, and silent suffering. You, a young girl of perhaps 15, have no memory of your parents. You remember only the cold stone of the orphanage, the hunger that gnawed at your belly, the nuns' sharp voices echoing in the night. You were one of dozens, nameless, faceless, a burden to be managed. When the palace steward came searching for new servants, the nuns were all too eager to send you away. Versailles, they said, was a place of opportunity. But you soon learned that opportunity here is a double-edged sword. The palace is a world apart from the muddy streets of Paris. Here, the air is thick with the scent of roses and candle wax. The walls shimmer with gold leaf. And the floors are so polished you can see your own reflection, though you hardly recognize the girl staring back. You wear a plain brown dress, your hair pulled back tight, your hands always busy. You are invisible to the nobles, but you see everything. You see the way the courtiers bow and scrape before the king, their faces masks of devotion, their eyes always watching, calculating. You see the way the queen's ladies whisper behind their fans, their laughter sharp as knives. You see the kitchen boys stealing scraps of meat, the maids weeping in the laundry, the guards exchanging furtive glances. You learn quickly that everyone at Versailles is playing a game, and the stakes are life and death. The rules are simple. Never speak unless spoken to. Never meet a noble's eyes. Never, ever repeat what you hear. You keep your head down, your ears open, and your secrets locked away. But secrets have a way of finding you, especially in a place like this. You remember the first time you saw the king. He was a vision in gold and white, his hair curled and powdered, his eyes cold and bright as winter sunlight. The entire court seemed to hold its breath as he passed, every head bowed, every heart pounding. You felt invisible, yet exposed, as if his gaze could strip you bare. You wondered what it would be like to be seen, truly seen, by someone like him. But you knew better than to hope. Life in the palace is a constant test. The work is endless, scrubbing floors, polishing silver, carrying trays heavy with food you are never allowed to taste. Your feet ache, your back throbs, your hands are raw and red. But you endure, because you must. There is no going back. At night, when the palace finally quiets, you lie awake in the servants' quarters, listening to the distant music and laughter from the grand halls. You dream of escape, of freedom, of a life where you are more than just a shadow. But dreams are dangerous here. You have seen what happens to those who reach too high, who trust too easily, who forget their place. The court is a nest of vipers. Rumors swirl like smoke. A nobleman found dead in his bed, a lady's maid dismissed in disgrace, a cupbearer vanished without a trace. Whispers of poison drift through the corridors, growing louder with each passing week. Some say the devil himself walks the halls of Versailles, wearing a noble's face. You do not believe in devils, but you have learned to believe in desperation. It was desperation that led you to her, the woman in the shadows, the one who promised you a way out. She found you in the kitchens, your hands shaking as you scrub at a stubborn stain from a silver platter. She spoke softly, her voice like silk, her eyes sharp as glass. She told you she could give you power, freedom, revenge. All you had to do was listen. All you had to do was trust her. You did not trust her, but you listened. Now, as you move through the palace, you see the world with new eyes. You see the cracks in the gilded walls, the fear behind the laughter, the hunger behind the smiles. You see the way the nobles look at you, not as a person, but as a tool, a thing to be used and discarded. You see the way the other servants shrink from you, sensing the change, the danger that clings to you like a second skin. You are no longer just a shadow. You are a storm gathering on the horizon, a secret waiting to be unleashed. Versailles is a palace of masks, but tonight, the masks will fall. And when they do, the world will remember your name. I am not a ghost, though sometimes I feel like one. My name is Marguerite, or at least that is the name the nuns gave me when I was left at the steps of St. Denis on a rain-soaked night, wrapped in a threadbare blanket, a scrap of paper pinned to my chest. I have no memory of my mother's face, no father's voice to echo in my mind. My earliest memories are of cold stone, the smell of boiled cabbage, and the endless, echoing prayers of the orphanage. I was always small for my age. Quick and quiet, with hair the color of chestnuts and eyes too large for my thin face. The other girls called me Little Mouse, and I learned to live up to the name, slipping through shadows, listening more than speaking, learning the art of invisibility. In a world that did not want me, I learned to want nothing, but even a mouse has dreams. Sometimes, late at night, I would press my face to the frosted window and watch the city lights flicker in the distance. I would imagine a mother searching for me, a father who would sweep me into his arms and promise that I mattered. I would imagine a life where I was seen, where I was loved. But dreams are dangerous things for girls like me. The nuns said so, and I believed them. When the palace steward came to the orphanage, he did not look at us as children. He looked at us as hands to scrub, to carry, to serve. I was chosen because I was small, quick, and silent. The nuns said it was a blessing. I knew better. It was a sentence. Versailles was another world. The first time I saw the palace, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. The gold, the marble, the endless gardens, it was more beautiful than anything I had ever imagined. But beauty is a mask, and masks can hide monsters. My days at Versailles are a blur of work and exhaustion. I rise before dawn, my body aching from the hard straw mattress, my hands already raw from yesterday's labor. I dress in the same brown gown, tie my hair back, and slip into the endless rhythm of the palace. Scrub, polish, carry, serve. I am one of dozens of girls, all of us moving like shadows through the halls, careful never to draw attention, but I notice everything. I notice the way the noble women glide through the corridors, their laughter like the tinkling of glass, their eyes sharp and cold. I notice the way the men look at us, sometimes with indifference, sometimes with hunger. I notice the way the other servants whisper in corners, trading secrets like coins. I notice the fear that hangs in the air, thick and suffocating. I have learned to survive by being useful. I am quick with a needle, careful with a tray, silent when I am supposed to be. I have learned to read the moods of the kitchen staff, to avoid the cook when he is angry, to help the older maids with their chores so they will look out for me. I have learned to keep my head down, to never ask questions, to never, ever trust anyone. But sometimes I cannot help myself. Sometimes I steal moments for myself, a stolen crust of bread, a glimpse of the gardens through a half-open door, a few minutes to sit in the sun and remember what warmth feels like. These moments are small, but they are mine. I remember the first time I saw the king up close. I was carrying a tray of wine to the grand hall, my hands shaking so badly I thought I would drop it. He swept past me, surrounded by courtiers, his presence so overwhelming it felt like the sun itself had entered the room. For a moment he looked at me, just a glance, nothing more. But in that moment I felt both invisible and exposed, as if he could see every secret I carried. I have secrets. We all do. Mine are small, at first petty thefts, whispered prayers, dreams I dare not speak aloud. But now my secrets are heavier. Now I carry a vial of poison in my pocket, and the weight of it is almost unbearable. I did not choose this path. I did not wake up one morning and decide to become a murderer. But life at Versailles is a game, and the only way to survive is to play. I have seen what happens to those who refuse. The girl who spoke out of turn and was sent away. The boy who was caught stealing and never seen again. I have learned that mercy is a luxury for the powerful, and I am not powerful. But I am not powerless either. Not anymore. The woman who found me in the kitchens, Madame Voisin, they call her, saw something in me. She said I was clever, that I could be useful. She taught me things the nuns never did. How to listen without being heard. How to move without being seen. How to make a man trust you with a smile. She gave me the vial, and with it, a choice. I do not know if I am brave or foolish. I only know that I am tired of being invisible. I am tired of being nothing. Tonight, I will be seen. Tonight, I will matter. As I stand in the shadows of the ballroom, the vial heavy in my pocket, I think of all the girls like me, girls who are never seen, never heard, never remembered. I think of the life I might have had, the person I might have been. I think of the cost of survival, and whether it is worth paying. I am Marguerite. I am an orphan. I am a servant. But tonight, I am something more. Versailles is not just a palace. It is the beating heart of a kingdom, the stage upon which the fate of France is decided every day. To understand what is about to happen, you must understand the world in which you live, a world of power, fear, and secrets. The year is 1679. France is the most powerful nation in Europe, and King Louis XIV, the Sun King, is its absolute ruler. His word is law, his will unchallenged. He has transformed Versailles from a modest hunting lodge into the most magnificent palace the world has ever seen, a symbol of his glory, and a cage for his court. The court of Versailles is a world apart, a place where hundreds of nobles, courtiers, and servants live in a constant state of competition. Every day is a performance, every gesture calculated, every word weighed. The king's favor is the most precious currency, and everyone is desperate to earn it. To be noticed by the king is to rise. To be ignored is to fall into obscurity, or worse. But beneath the glittering surface, Versailles is a place of fear. The king's spies are everywhere, listening for any hint of disloyalty. A careless word can mean exile, imprisonment, or death. The nobles are trapped, forced to live at court so the king can keep an eye on them. They plot and scheme, forming alliances and rivalries, always looking for an advantage. For the servants, life is even harder. They are invisible, yet always watched. They work from before dawn until long after midnight, scrubbing, polishing, carrying, serving. They see everything, hear everything, but must never speak of what they know. They are the silent witnesses to the court's secrets, and sometimes its crimes. The world outside Versailles is changing too. France is at war, its armies marching. Across Europe, its people burdened by taxes and hunger. The king's wars are expensive, and the cost is paid by the poor. In Paris, rumors swirl of famine, disease, and unrest. The people grumble, but the king does not listen. He is the sun, and all must revolve around him. But even the sun cannot banish every shadow dot in the dark corners of Paris. A new kind of power is rising. Alchemists, fortune-tellers, and poisoners ply their trade, selling secrets and death to those who can pay. The most notorious of them all is Madame Voisin, a woman whose name is whispered in fear. She is said to have the ear of nobles and the blood of kings on her hands. Her network stretches from the gutters of Paris to the gilded halls of Versailles. The affair of the poisons, as it will come to be known, is already beginning to unfold. Nobles are dying in mysterious ways, some suddenly, others slowly, their bodies racked with pain. The king's court is gripped by paranoia. Who can be trusted? Who is safe? The answer is no one. You, Marguerite, are caught in the middle of this storm. You are a servant, invisible and powerless, yet you hold in your hands the means to change everything. The vial in your pocket is not just poison, It is a weapon, a key, a curse. You did not ask for this power, but now that you have it, you cannot turn away. You have seen the cruelty of the nobles, the indifference of the king, the suffering of the servants. You have seen how the powerful use and discard those beneath them. You have seen the price of survival. And now you are being asked to pay it. The court is a labyrinth of secrets. Every day you hear whispers of plots and betrayals. You see the fear in the eyes of the courtiers, the desperation in their voices. You see the way they cling to the king, hoping for a scrap of favor, a moment of notice. You see the way they turn on each other, like wolves fighting over a bone. You have learned to navigate this world, to move unseen, to listen and remember. You know which nobles are kind, which are cruel, which are dangerous. You know who to avoid, who to trust, who to fear. You know that everyone at Versailles is playing a game, and the stakes are life and death. But you are not just a pawn. Not anymore. Madame Voisin has given you a choice, a terrible, impossible choice. She has told you that the court is rotten, that the nobles deserve to pay for their sins. She has told you that you can be the instrument of justice, the hand of fate. She has told you that you can be free, but freedom comes at a price. You think of the other servants, the girls who share your room, the boys who work in the kitchens. You think of their dreams, their fears, their hopes. You think of the life you might have had, the person you might have been. You think of the cost of survival and whether it is worth paying. The world of Versailles is a world of masks. Everyone is hiding something: fear, ambition, guilt, desire. You have learned to wear a mask too. You smile when you are supposed to bow when you are supposed to, keep your secrets hidden deep inside. But tonight, the masks will fall. The king's court is a powder keg, ready to explode. The nobles are desperate. The servants are afraid. The king is surrounded by enemies he cannot see. And you, Marguerite, are at the center of it all. You did not choose this life. But now you must choose what to do with it. The fate of the court, and perhaps of France itself, rests in your hands. The night air is thick with anticipation. The palace glows like a lantern in the darkness, its windows blazing with candlelight, its gardens alive with the music of fountains and laughter. But beneath the surface, something poisonous stirs. Tonight, everything will change. You stand in the shadows of the grand ballroom, the vial of poison cold against your skin. Your heart hammers in your chest, each beat echoing the distant drums of the musicians. The nobles swirl past you in a blur of silk and jewels, their faces flushed with wine and excitement. They do not see you. They never do, but tonight you are not invisible. Tonight, you are the hand that will tip the scales. It began earlier that day, in the kitchens. The air was heavy with the scent of roasting meat and fresh bread, the clatter of pots and pans a constant backdrop to the whispered gossip of the servants. You moved through the chaos with practiced ease, your mind elsewhere. You could not stop thinking about the vial hidden in your apron, the promise you had made to Madame Voisin, the fear that gnawed at your insides. You remembered her words. They will never see you coming. That is your power. Use it. You watched as the palace prepared for the feast. The king was to celebrate another victory, another battle won, another enemy defeated. The court was electric with anticipation. The nobles competed for the best seats, the finest wine, the king's fleeting attention. The servants worked twice as hard, knowing that a single mistake could mean punishment or worse. You were assigned to serve wine in the ballroom, a task usually reserved for the older, more trusted girls. You wondered if someone suspected you, if they sensed the storm gathering behind your eyes, but no one looked at you twice. You were just another shadow, another pair of hands. As the sun set and the palace filled with music and laughter, you slipped away to the small dark alcove where Madame Voisin waited. She pressed the vial into your hand, her eyes cold and hard. "Tonight," she whispered. "You must do it tonight." The king's enemies are many, but none are as close as you. Remember what they have done to you, to all of us. Remember why you are here. You nodded, your throat tight with fear and something else. Something like hope. Now, as you stand at the edge of the ballroom, you watch the nobles dance and laugh, oblivious to the danger in their midst. You see the king, radiant in gold, his every movement watched and imitated by those around him. You see the courtiers who have mocked you, the ladies who have sneered at you, the men who have looked through you as if you were nothing. You move through the crowd, your tray balanced carefully in your hands. The goblets gleam in the candlelight, the wine dark and rich. You know which one is meant for the king, which for his closest advisors, which for the noblewoman who once slapped you for spilling a drop of water on her silk gown. Your hands do not tremble. You have practiced this moment 1,000 times in your mind. You pour the wine, your movements smooth and unhurried. You add the poison, a single drop, clear and odorless. It disappears into the wine without a trace. You serve the goblets, your face a mask of calm. The nobles take them without a second glance, their laughter ringing your ears. You step back, your heart pounding, your breath shallow. For a moment, nothing happens. The music swells, the dancers spin, the king raises his glass in a toast. You watch, waiting, your hands clenched at your sides. Then slowly, the change begins. It is subtle at first, a cough, a stumble, a look of confusion. The noblewoman who slapped you drops her fan, her face pale. One of the king's advisors sways on his feet, his hand clutching his chest. The king himself pauses, his glass halfway to his lips, his eyes narrowing. Panic ripples through the crowd. The music falters, the laughter dies. Servants rush forward, nobles cry out, the king's guards push through the throng. You stand frozen, watching as chaos erupts around you. You see the fear in their eyes, the realization that something is terribly wrong. You see the king's face, twisted in anger and confusion. You see the nobles collapse one by one, their bodies racked with pain. You did this. You, the invisible girl, the orphan, the servant. You have changed the course of history with a single drop of poison. As the ballroom descends into chaos, you slip away, your heart pounding, your mind racing. You do not know what will happen next. You do not know if you will be caught, if you will survive the night. But for the first time in your life, you are not afraid. You are not nothing. You are not invisible. You are the storm that has broken over Versailles, and nothing will ever be the same. You run through the labyrinthine corridors of Versailles, your breath coming in ragged gasps, your heart pounding so loudly you fear it will give you away. The echoes of chaos from the ballroom chase you, shouts, screams, the crash of goblets and bodies. You are no longer a shadow. You are a fugitive. You slip through the servants' passages, your feet barely making a sound on the cold stone. You know these halls better than anyone. You have spent years moving unseen, learning every shortcut, every hidden door. Now that knowledge is your only protection, you reach the safety of the scullery, your back pressed against the wall, your hands shaking. You try to steady your breathing, to quiet the storm inside you. You have done it. You have poisoned the court. The realization crashes over you, a wave of terror and exhilaration. You think of the faces in the ballroom, the king, the courtiers, the servants. You think of the pain and confusion in their eyes, the fear that spread like wildfire. You think of the noble woman who slapped you, the advisor who sneered at you, the guards who never saw you. You think of Madame Voisin's words, "They will never see you coming," but now they will. Now they will be searching for you. You know you cannot stay hidden for long. The palace is a cage, and the king's men will turn over every stone. To find the culprit, you must be careful. You must be clever. You must become invisible once more. You change out of your servant's dress, slipping into the plainest clothes you can find. You tie your hair back, smudge your face with ash from the hearth. You become just another kitchen girl, tired and dirty, unnoticed among the dozens who scurry through the palace's underbelly. But inside, you are anything but unnoticed. Inside, you are a storm. The hours crawl by. News spreads through the servants. Quarters like wildfire nobles have fallen ill. Some are dead. The king is furious. The palace is in lockdown. No one is allowed to leave. The guards question everyone, searching for any sign of guilt. You keep your head down, your eyes on your work, your hands steady even as your mind races. You are terrified. Every time a guard enters the kitchen, your heart leaps into your throat. Every time someone looks at you for a moment too long, you fear they have seen through your disguise. You replay the events of the night over and over in your mind, searching for mistakes, for clues you might have left behind, but you are also proud. You have done what no one else dared. You have struck a blow against the people who made your life a misery. You have shown them that even the smallest, most invisible person can change the world. Still, the guilt gnaws at you. You see the faces of the other servants, your friends, your companions, the girls who shared your bed and your bread. You wonder if any of them were caught in the chaos, if any of them were hurt because of you. You wonder if you have become the very thing you hated, a monster, a tool of someone else's vengeance. You try to sleep, but the nightmares come. You see the ballroom, the bodies, the blood. You see the king's face, twisted in pain and rage. You see Madame Voisin, her eyes cold and triumphant. You wake in the darkness, your heart racing, your hands clenched into fists. Days pass. The palace is a prison. The king's men search every room, question every servant, punish anyone who cannot account for their movements. You are questioned too. You keep your answers short, your eyes downcast, your voice steady. You are just another frightened girl, caught in the storm. But inside, you are changing. You are no longer the little mouse, the invisible orphan. You are someone who has taken fate into her own hands. You are someone who has survived. You begin to see the world differently. You notice the cracks in the palace's facade, the fear in the eyes of the nobles, the desperation in the voices of the servants. You see how quickly power can shift, how easily the mighty can fall. You see that the world is not as fixed as you once believed. You begin to dream again, not of escape, but of justice. You think of the other girls at the orphanage, the children who will never see Versailles, who will never have a chance to fight back. You think of the people outside the palace, the ones who suffer while the king and his court feast and dance. You wonder if you can do more, if you can be more. You seek out Madame Voisin. She is waiting for you in the shadows, her face unreadable. You did well, she says. You have power now, use it. You are afraid of her, but you are also drawn to her. She is the only one who sees you, who understands what you have done. She offers you a place in her world, a world of secrets and shadows, of power and danger. You hesitate. You do not want to become a monster. You do not want to lose yourself in the darkness. But you also do not want to go back to being nothing. You make a choice. You will survive. You will adapt. You will use the power you have gained, not just for yourself, but for those who have no voice. You will become more than a shadow. You will become a force. As the days turn to weeks, you learn to navigate the new world you have created. You move through the palace with confidence, your eyes open, your mind sharp. You listen, you watch, you learn. You gather secrets, you make alliances, you protect those who cannot protect themselves. You are no longer just Marguerite, the orphan. You are Marguerite, the survivor. Marguerite, the avenger. Marguerite, the storm. And you know that the world will never be the same. The palace is no longer a place of beauty. It is a fortress under siege, every door locked, every corridor watched. The air is thick with suspicion, and fear clings to every surface like dust. You feel it in your bones, in the way the servants whisper, in the way the nobles glance over their shoulders. Versailles is holding its breath, waiting for the next blow to fall. You move through the palace with new caution. Every step is measured, every word chosen with care. The king's guards are everywhere, their eyes sharp, their hands never far from their swords. They question everyone, searching for the traitor who dared to strike at the heart of the court. You are questioned again and again, your story picked apart, your movements scrutinized. You keep your answers simple, your face blank, your fear hidden deep inside, but the pressure is mounting. The king is furious, his pride wounded, his trust shattered. He demands answers, demands justice. The court is in chaos. Nobles accuse each other, old rivalries flare into open conflict, alliances shift like sand. The servants are caught in the crossfire, punished for the slightest mistake, watched for any sign of guilt. You see the toll it takes on those around you. Marie, the girl who sleeps beside you in the servants' quarters, weeps at night, terrified she will be blamed. Jacques, the kitchen boy, is beaten for a broken plate. Even Madame Voisin is more cautious, her meetings with you brief and secretive. The palace is a powder keg, and you are the spark that could set it alight. You feel the weight of what you have done. The guilt is a constant ache, but so is the fear. You know that if you are discovered, there will be no mercy. The king's justice is swift and brutal. You have seen what happens to those who cross him: public executions, families ruined, names erased from history. You wonder if you will be next, but you are not alone in your fear. The entire court is gripped by paranoia. Rumors swirl like smoke. The poisoner is a foreign spy, a jealous lover, a servant with a grudge. Some say the devil himself walks the halls of Versailles. The king's advisors bring in alchemists and priests, searching for signs of witchcraft. The palace is swept for hidden vials, the kitchen searched for strange powders. Every servant is a suspect, every shadow a threat. You learn to adapt. You change your routines, avoid the places where you might be recognized. You listen more than you speak, gather information, watch for signs of danger. You become a master of disguise, blending into the background, becoming whoever you need to be to survive. But the challenges keep coming. One night, as you are cleaning the silver in the grand dining hall, you overhear two guards talking. They have found a clue, a scrap of cloth, stained with something strange, hidden behind a tapestry. Your heart stops. You remember the night of the poisoning, the panic, the rush to escape. Did you leave something behind? Is this the end? You force yourself to stay calm. You finish your work, slip away before the guards can see your face. You spend the night in terror, waiting for the knock on the door, the heavy boots in the corridor. But morning comes, and you are still free. The investigation grows more intense. The king's men bring in new interrogators, men with cold eyes and cruel hands. Servants disappear in the night, never to be seen again. The fear is suffocating. You see it in the eyes of everyone you meet, the knowledge that any one of you could be next. You cling to your routines, to the small comforts that remain. You find solace in the quiet moments, watching the sunrise from a hidden window, sharing a stolen crust of bread with Marie, listening to the distant music from the ballroom. These moments remind you that you are still alive, still human, even as the world around you falls apart. But the tension is always there, a constant pressure that never lets up. You are always watching, always listening, always ready to run. You trust no one, not even Madame Voisin. You know that in this world, loyalty is a luxury, and survival is all that matters. One evening, as you are fetching water from the well, you are approached by a stranger, a man you have never seen before, dressed in the plain clothes of a servant, but with the bearing of someone used to power. He speaks to you in a low voice, his eyes sharp and knowing. I know what you did, he says. You are not as invisible as you think. Your blood runs cold. You want to deny it, to run, to scream. But you force yourself to stay calm, to meet his gaze. What do you want? You whisper. He smiles, a thin, dangerous smile. I want what everyone wants, power. And I think you can help me get it. He slips away before you can respond, leaving you shaken and afraid. You realize that you are not as safe as you thought. There are others who know, others who want to use you for their own ends. The web of intrigue is tightening around you, and you are caught in the center. You return to Madame Voisin, desperate for guidance. She listens to your story, her face unreadable. You are in danger, she says. But you are also valuable. Remember that. Use it. You nod, but the fear remains. You know that every choice you make now is a gamble, every step a risk. The palace is a battlefield, and you are fighting for your life. As the days pass, the tension only grows. The king's men close in, the nobles grow more desperate, the servants more fearful. You feel the walls closing in, the noose tightening around your neck, but you refuse to give in. You have come too far, survived too much to be defeated now. You steel yourself for what is to come, knowing that the greatest challenges still lie ahead. You are Marguerite, the orphan, the poisoner, the survivor, and you will not go down without a fight. The palace is a storm, and you are caught in its eye. Every day brings new dangers, new choices, new betrayals. The world you thought you understood is shifting beneath your feet, and you must decide who you are and who you are willing to become. It begins with a summons. One morning, as you are scrubbing the marble floors outside the king's private chambers, a guard approaches you. His face is unreadable, his voice cold. The king wishes to see you. Your heart stops. You have spent weeks trying to remain invisible, to blend into the background, to avoid the gaze of those in power. Now you are being called into the very heart of danger. You follow the guard through the endless corridors, your mind racing. Have they discovered the truth? Is this the end? You try to steady your breathing, to keep your face calm. You remind yourself that you have survived worse. The king's chambers are a world apart from the rest of the palace, quieter, more intimate, but no less intimidating. Louis XIV sits at a gilded desk, his face pale and drawn. He looks at you with eyes that miss nothing. You were in the ballroom the night of the poisoning, he says, his voice low and measured. You nod, your hands trembling. Tell me what you saw. You choose your words carefully, describing the chaos, the fear, the confusion. You keep your story simple, omitting anything that might incriminate you. The king listens, his gaze never leaving your face. When you finish, he dismisses you with a wave of his hand. You leave the room, your legs weak, your heart pounding. You do not know if you have convinced him, or if you have just signed your own death warrant. The days that follow are a blur of fear and uncertainty. The investigation intensifies. More servants are questioned, more nobles fall under suspicion. The palace is a cauldron, bubbling with paranoia, anger. Then another turning point, a second poisoning. This time, it is not a noble, but a servant, a girl you knew from the orphanage, a friend who once shared her bread with you. She dies in agony, her body racked with pain. The court is thrown into chaos once more. You are devastated. You realize that the poison you unleashed has spread beyond your control. Innocent people are suffering, and you are powerless to stop it. The guilt is overwhelming, but so is the fear. You know that if you show any sign of weakness, you will be next. You seek out Madame Voisin, desperate for answers. She is colder than ever, her eyes hard. This is the price of power, she says. You cannot choose who suffers. You can only choose to survive. You are not sure you believe her. You begin to question everything, your choices, your loyalties, your very identity. Are you a victim or a villain? A survivor or a monster? The palace is changing too. The king grows more paranoid, more ruthless. He orders mass arrests, public executions, brutal interrogations. The court is gripped by terror. Friends turn on each other. Secrets are traded for safety. Trust is a luxury no one can afford. You are forced to make impossible choices. One night, a fellow servant comes to you, begging for help. She knows something. She says something that could save you both. But helping her would mean betraying Madame Voisin, risking everything you have fought for. You hesitate, torn between loyalty and survival. In the end, you choose to help her. Together, you gather evidence, piecing together the web of lies and betrayals that has ensnared the court. You risk everything, knowing that a single mistake could mean death. Your courage is rewarded and punished. The girl is caught, tortured, forced to confess. She names you as her accomplice. You are arrested, dragged before the king's men, beaten and questioned. You refuse to break, clinging to your secrets, your dignity, your hope. In the darkness of your cell, you find a strange kind of strength. You realize that you are not alone. There are others like you, servants, orphans, outcasts, who have suffered at the hands of the powerful. You begin to see yourself not as a victim, but as a symbol. Your story is not just your own. It is the story of everyone who has ever been silenced, ignored, or forgotten. The final turning point comes when Madame Voisin herself is arrested. The king's men have uncovered her network, traced the poisonings back to her. She is brought before the court, her secrets laid bare. You watch from your cell as she is condemned, her power broken, her fate sealed. You are offered a choice. Confess, and you may be spared. Remain silent, and you will die. You think of everything you have endured, the pain, the fear, the loss. You think of the people you have loved and lost, the dreams you have sacrificed. You think of the girl you once were, and the woman you have become. You make your choice. You confess not to save yourself, but to tell the truth. You speak of the cruelty of the court, the suffering of the servants, the corruption that festers beneath the gilded surface of Versailles. You name names, reveal secrets, shine a light into the darkest corners of the palace. Your words are a weapon, more powerful than any poison. The court is shaken, the king forced to confront the reality he has tried so hard to ignore. You do not know what your fate will be, but you know that you have changed the world. As you are led away, you hold your head high. You are no longer a shadow, no longer a victim. You are Marguerite, the orphan who dared to fight back, and your story is not over yet. The palace is quieter now, but the silence is uneasy. The echoes of the scandal still haunt the gilded halls, and the air is thick with the memory of betrayal. Versailles has changed, and so have you. You sit in a small, cold cell, the stone walls pressing in on you. The days blur together, long hours of waiting, of wondering, of remembering. You replay every moment, every choice, every word you spoke before the king and his council. You wonder if you did the right thing, if the truth was worth the price. Outside, the court is in turmoil. The king's men have swept through the palace, arresting those named in your confession. Some are imprisoned, others exiled, a few executed. The court is smaller now, quieter, the laughter more forced, the smiles more brittle. The king himself has changed, more distant, more suspicious, his glory dimmed by the shadow of the poisonings. Hear rumors from the guards of new rules, new restrictions, new faces in the palace. The servants are watched more closely than ever, their every move scrutinized. The nobles are wary, their alliances shifting, their ambitions checked by fear. Versailles is still beautiful, but the beauty is brittle, fragile, easily shattered. You are not forgotten. Your name is whispered in the corridors, your story retold in hushed voices. Some call you a monster, others a martyr. Some say you were a pawn, others that you were a hero. You do not know what to believe. You only know that you are still alive. One morning, a guard comes to your cell. He is younger than the others, his eyes kind. The king has decided your fate, he says quietly. You are to be exiled. You will never return to Versailles. Relief and fear wash over you in equal measure. Exile is not death, but it is still a kind of ending. You will be cast out, alone in a world that has never been kind to you. But you will be free. For the first time in your life, you will be free. Are given a simple dress, a small bag of coins, and a warning: never speak of what happened at Versailles. You step out of the palace gates, the sun bright on your face, the air sharp and clean. You look back only once at the towers and gardens that were your prison and your home. The world outside is vast and uncertain. You have no family, no friends, no place to go, but you have survived worse. You walk for days, following the road away from Paris, away from the memories that haunt you. You sleep in barns and fields, eat what you can find, keep to the shadows. But you are not the same girl who arrived at Versailles all those years ago. You are stronger now, harder, wiser. You know how to survive. You know how to fight in a small village far from the city. You find work in a tavern. The people are curious about the quiet girl with the haunted eyes, but you keep your secrets close. You scrub floors, serve drinks, listen to the gossip of travelers. You hear stories of the king, of the court, of the poisonings that shook France. You hear your own name, twisted and changed, a legend growing in the telling. You begin to build a new life. It is not easy. The work is hard, the pay meager, the future uncertain. But you are free. You are alive. You find small joys a warm fire, a kind word, a moment of peace. You begin to hope again, to dream of something better. But the past is never far behind. One night, a stranger arrives at the tavern, a woman with sharp eyes and a knowing smile. She sits at your table, her voice low. You are Marguerite, aren't you? You freeze, fear and curiosity warring inside you. I know what you did, she says, and I know why you did it. There are others like you, others who have suffered, who have fought, who have survived. You are not alone. She offers you a choice: to join her, to use your skills and your story to help others, to fight for justice in a world that so often denies it. You hesitate, remembering the pain, the loss, the danger. But you also remember the power, the hope, the possibility of change. You make your choice. You leave the village, following the stranger into the unknown. You do not know what the future holds, but you know that you will face it on your own terms. You are no longer a victim, no longer a pawn. You are Marguerite, the orphan who poisoned a royal court, and you are ready for whatever comes next. The night is cold and silent as you walk through the empty streets of a town far from Versailles. The moon hangs low, casting long shadows that seem to follow your every step. You are free, but freedom is not what you imagined. It is heavy, haunted by memories and regrets. You think of the faces you left behind, the girls in the orphanage, the servants who became your friends, the nobles who never knew your name. You think of the king, his eyes burning with suspicion and fear. You think of Madame Voisin, her promises and her betrayals. You think of the poison, the pain, the chaos you unleashed. You wonder if you could have chosen differently. If you could have refused the vial, walked away from the shadows, found another path. But the world of Versailles was never kind to girls like you. It demanded silence, obedience, invisibility. You broke those rules, and the price was high. The tragedy is not just in what you did, but in what you lost. You lost your innocence, your trust, your hope for a simple life. You lost friends, some to the poison, some to the king's justice, some to fear and suspicion. You lost the chance to ever be just a girl again, but you also gained something. You gained a voice, a story, a place in history. You became more than a shadow. You became a force that shook the foundations of a kingdom, One evening, as you sit by the fire in a stranger's home, you hear news from Paris. The king has grown more ruthless, his court more fearful. The affair of the poisons has changed everything. New laws are passed, new punishments invented. The people whisper of witches and devils, of justice and revenge. Your name is spoken in fear and awe. You feel the weight of it all, the lives you touched, the pain you caused, the change you set in motion. You wonder if it was worth it. You wonder if you are a hero or a villain, a savior or a destroyer. The tragedy is that there is no simple answer. The world is not black and white, and neither are you. You are both victim and perpetrator, both lost and found. You carry the scars of your choices, and you will carry them for the rest of your life. One night, as you walk alone beneath the stars, you see a group of children huddled in a doorway, cold and hungry. You remember what it was to be one of them, invisible and afraid. You kneel beside them, offering bread, a kind word, a promise that they are not alone. In that moment, you realize that tragedy does not have to be the end. It can be the beginning of something new, a chance to use your pain to help others, to turn your suffering into strength. But the scars remain. The nightmares return. You wake in the darkness, your heart pounding, your hands shaking. You see the ballroom, the faces, the poison. You hear the screams, the silence, the judgment. You wonder if you will ever be free. The world moves on, but you are changed forever. You are Marguerite, the orphan who poisoned a royal court. You are a legend, a warning, a question that will never be fully answered. And as the dawn breaks over a new day, you rise to meet it, not as a victim, not as a monster, but as a survivor. The tragedy is yours, but so is the future. History remembers the powerful, the kings, the queens, the conquerors. But sometimes it is the invisible ones, the forgotten, the voiceless, who leave the deepest mark. Marguerite, the orphan who poisoned a royal court, became a legend, not because she sought glory, but because she dared to act when the world demanded her silence. Your story, Marguerite, is whispered in the shadows of Versailles long after you are gone. Servants tell it to each other in the kitchens, mothers warn their daughters, and nobles shudder at the memory of the night the court was brought to its knees by a girl no one saw coming. Some call you a monster, others a martyr. Some say you were a tool of darker forces, others that you were an avenging angel for the powerless. But the truth is more complicated. As it always is, you were a child of circumstance, shaped by a world that valued power over kindness, obedience over justice. You were not born to be a poisoner. You were made by hunger, by fear, by the cruelty of those who believed themselves untouchable. Your story is not just about revenge or survival, it is about the cost of being invisible, and the desperate need to be seen. The affair of the poisons left scars on France that would last for generations. The king, once untouchable, became more suspicious, more isolated. The court, once a place of glittering beauty, became a symbol of corruption and fear. Laws were changed, punishments grew harsher, and the line between justice and vengeance blurred. The people remembered the lesson. Even the smallest, most overlooked among them could shake the world. But your legacy is not just one of fear, it is also one of hope. In the years that followed, whispers of your courage inspired other servants who stood up to cruelty, women who demanded to be heard, orphans who dreamed of more than survival. Your story became a warning to the powerful. Never underestimate those you cannot see. You lived the rest of your days far from Versailles, but you were never truly free of your past. The nightmares lingered, the guilt and the grief. But you found purpose in helping others, in using your story to protect those who could not protect themselves. You became a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of resilience. And what can we, centuries later, learn from your story? We live in a world that still values power, that still overlooks the quiet, the poor, the forgotten. We still build palaces, sometimes of stone, sometimes of privilege, where the few feast while the many serve. We still tell ourselves that the invisible do not matter, that their pain is not our concern, but your story reminds us that every life matters, that every voice, no matter how small, can change the world, that justice is not the property of kings, but the right of all, that the greatest acts of courage often come from those with the least to lose. If you are watching this, perhaps you have felt invisible. Perhaps you have wondered if your story matters, if your voice can be heard. Marguerite's story is for you. It is a reminder that you are not alone, that your pain is real, that your choices matter. And if you are one of the powerful, one of the fortunate, let this story be a warning. Never forget those who serve you, who clean your halls, who carry your burdens. For history is full of Marguerites, quiet, unseen, waiting for the moment when they too will be heard. Versailles still stands, its golden halls gleaming in the sunlight. Tourists walk its corridors, marvel at its beauty, and rarely think of the shadows that once moved through its rooms. But if you listen closely, you can still hear the whispers, the story of an orphan girl who changed the course of history. So, as we end this journey together, ask yourself, what would you have done in Marguerite's place? What would you do if the world refused to see you? Would you remain silent, or would you find your voice? Let us remember Marguerite, not just as a poisoner, but as a symbol of all those who refuse to be forgotten. Let us honor her courage, her pain, her hope. And let us promise to see those whom the world tries to hide. If you found this story moving, please like and subscribe for more immersive journeys into history's hidden corners. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what stories you want to explore next. We are all part of this great tapestry of history, and every thread, no matter how small, matters. Thank you for walking these shadowed halls with me. Until next time, remember, even the quietest voice can echo through the ages.